World News in 5.
Right now.
News and developments making headlines around the world in 5 minutes. World News in 5. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.
Good day to all of our listeners here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service. This is World News in 5 and I'm your host, Steph Vicente. The United States House of Representatives has approved a resolution aimed at limiting President Donald Trump's authority to conduct military action in Iran, marking a significant challenge to his handling of the conflict. According to CNN, the measure passed by a narrow 215 to 208 vote, with 4 Republicans joining Democrats in support. Lawmakers pushing the effort say it is part of an ongoing attempt to reassert congressional oversight of war powers, a campaign that has recently gained some bipartisan backing. The resolution, introduced by New York Representative Gregory Meeks, now heads to the Senate for further consideration but will not require the president's signature if approved. The vote highlights growing tensions within the Republican Party as some members also oppose other Trump-backed initiatives, including a controversial compensation fund tied to the January 6 Capitol riot. In recent days, Senate Republicans have also blocked funding related to Trump's security plans, citing budget concerns. The latest move underscores increasing resistance in Congress to parts of the president's broader agenda. In other news overseas, United States President Donald Trump is reportedly at odds with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu following disagreements over Israel's military actions in Lebanon, which have complicated Washington's efforts to negotiate with Iran. The BBC reports the tensions come after Iran warned it could suspend talks with the U.S. in response to Israeli strikes, potentially undermining efforts to extend a fragile ceasefire. U.S. President Trump acknowledged in an interview that he was perturbed by Netanyahu's actions, though he emphasized that he still maintains a strong working relationship with the Israeli leader. Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, for his part, downplayed any rift, describing the disagreements as routine and saying both sides remain close allies. Analysts say the dispute highlights broader frustrations in Washington over differing U.S. and Israeli priorities, particularly as Israel continues operations against Hezbollah in Lebanon while diplomacy with Iran remains ongoing. The situation is further complicated by growing public criticism in the United States over support for Israel and the ongoing conflict. Experts warn that the strained relationship could affect efforts to stabilize the region and revive negotiations over Iran's nuclear program. And finally, Israeli airstrikes killed at least 9 people in southern Lebanon on Wednesday, according to local authorities, as tensions escalated despite a recent ceasefire. The BBC reports Lebanon's health ministry said the victims included 2 paramedics after an ambulance was hit, while another strike targeted a vehicle near Beirut. In response, the Iran-backed group Hezbollah said it launched rockets into northern Israel, claiming it was targeting Israeli troops. The Israeli military reported intercepting a drone and 2 incoming projectiles that crossed the border. The violence has put pressure on a partial ceasefire agreement reached earlier this week, which aimed to limit attacks on both sides. Diplomatic efforts continued in Washington, where Israeli and Lebanese officials held talks for a second day to strengthen the deal. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio expressed hope that negotiations would lead to a concrete plan to stabilize security in Lebanon, separate from Hezbollah's influence. And that concludes today's edition of World News in 5. For Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this has been Steph Vicente. Good day and stay safe, everyone.
World News in 5.
Right now.
News and developments making headlines around the world in 5 minutes. World News in 5. Here on Radyo Pilipinas World Service.